Welcome to A Talk of Opportunity, a podcast about Dungeons & Dragons and other things. This is Jose.
And I'm Andrew. And today we're going to be talking about Dragon Heist.
Great, so welcome to our first podcast ever. We are here because we like Dungeons & Dragons and other stuff. And I figure that instead of just texting each other constantly, we can actually put our thoughts into something productive.
Well, texting each other and constantly blowing up the Facebook chat.
So I'm sorry if you guys are listening to, if our friends are listening to this. We do that a lot. But anyways.
Yeah, for any more friends that are listening, you're just going to be retreading old ground.
Yep. One day you might be a guest on our show. Maybe. I don't know.
Perhaps. And just a quick warning. I'm sick. I'm coming off a really bad
cold. We've been planning this for like a month, and now you get sick. Unbelievable.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, I should probably also add that it's for the first time ever. It's not 98 degrees with 101 percent chance of humidity. So that means it's the first day of fall.
Oh yeah. For those of you that care, we're actually in Florida, where 100 degrees weather is norm. So anything under 90 is actually very nice and welcome.
So that's why I'm also violently ill, because it's such a rapid, because it went from 98 to a frigid 82.
Oh man, you did not wear your jacket?
No, I didn't.
So we figured we can start by talking a little bit about us and our history with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, well, okay, so let's just get this out of the way. All right. So much to the chagrin of our significant others, me and Jose here are really into Dungeons and Dragons, and for us, at least, I don't know about Jose, but at least I know for me, it's a pretty significant part of not only like my childhood but also my current life. And so I just figured we'd just use this sort of introductory episode to discuss how we got into it, because we've been playing since, well, I don't know about you, but I've been playing since Since 3.5. So I've been in this scene for a while.
Well, I'm a little bit more of a baby when it comes to it, because I really got into it when 5th edition came out, and even then it was 2 years after. But I think I don't think I have told you this, but my very first introduction to Dungeons and Dragons was actually when I first came to the States. I was in freshman year of high school, and I had a friend, and his name was Roberto. He was a Venezuelan kid, and of course I'm Venezuelan, so we were friends automatically, because why not? He invited me one day to his house. Well, I used to go there all the time, and he asked me to print for him a bunch of sheets. I had no idea what the hell it was. Sends me the PDF, and I print it out. It was like a massive, like he wanted like a bunch of them, so I get like all this stuff. And I barely know any English, so I don't know what the hell is going on. I get to his house, and we actually make a character together. But now looking back, it was actually, I think, Dungeons and Dragons 3, the 3rd edition.
Uh-huh.
And he had like of course, we went into his garage, and he had like a little like dungeon already made, and we sort of played. He tried to explain the rules to me, but not knowing English, and him having a hard time translating the rules really didn't put me off, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, there was a language barrier.
Yeah. So and that thought came to my that memory came to my head this week when I was thinking about like when I actually started Dungeons and Dragons.
Really?
Yeah, but for me it was 5th edition with the starter set. I was at work, and we were planning to do an evening of Dungeons and Dragons with a friend of mine, and another friend from work, which at that time we weren't that close, asked me if he could join, and he looked like a little bit of a jock, so I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? Didn't expect him to come over. It was that same night, which is already hard enough to get people together.
Yeah.
But it was that same night, so I was expecting him to say no. He told me he was going to check with his girlfriend, Little did I know, by the end of the workday, he told me that they were coming over, so I had to make them both uh, character sheets and characters for them to jump into the starter set. Right. And to this day, they are two of my best players, and that's how we became friends.
Really?
I love you, Alex and Heather. Please don't leave me.
Yeah, I mean, well, I didn't. I kind of had an inkling of who you were talking about. I didn't want to call them out on it.
I'm gonna call them out. I'm gonna call everybody out.
bunch of nerds.
Fucking nerds. But yes, not surprisingly, actually thinking back, that's my start on Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, it actually goes back before even I met you, Andrew. Look at that! Everything is connected. Nothing is real. Time is a construct.
Well, you're telling me something I already know, so that's all right. But okay, so I guess you've dived into your history. So I guess we can just go back and talk about my first experience. So this was when I was, the very first time I got introduced into Dungeons and Dragons was I had a friend in middle school who will be unnamed. Anyways, I had a friend in middle school, and I would go over to his house a lot, and his brothers were into Dungeons and Dragons, and it was something that I never really at the time knew about or really cared about or anything like that. Because this is when Halo 1 and 2 was out, so that's what we were doing. We were mainly playing video games and crap. Well, what was it? One of those years we were hit by, I want to say 3 or 4 hurricanes consecutively.
2004, what a time to be alive.
Yeah. So, and right before the first hurricane hit, I went over to his house thinking nothing of it because I was a kid and I had no idea of danger about weather and that kind of crap. And then so the hurricane hit while I was at his house, and I called my dad and he's like, no, just stay there. It's totally fine. Cause I lived right down the road from his house. So I honestly, I bicycled to and from his house, but even still my dad's like, no, just stay there. You're fine. I know where you're at. So just stay put. And then the power went out. And so we're all just kind of sitting around by candlelight, and we had nothing to do. And so my at the time, my friend's older brother, he said, hey, do you guys want to try Dungeons and Dragons? I'm like, well, and at the time, this was, okay, I'm going to blow your mind here. This was before Dungeons and Dragons was cool.
Wait.
Yeah. This was before we had Mike Joe
Mangalini.
Yeah, there we go. and before we had Vin Diesel and Matt Mercer and stuff like that. So I was always under the presumption that Dungeons and Dragons was a weird, nerdy, thing for losers. So I was a little hesitant at first. And you also got to think at the time, that it was still conceived, it was still, that was the concept wrapped around it, was that this was for people that ironically the stereotype was that Dungeons and Dragons was for people that didn't have friends, despite the fact that you needed at least 3 to 4 friends to play. Yeah, right. So I was a little hesitant at first, but then I was like, well, we have nothing better to do, so might as well. And he ran us a short little adventure. I made a fighter, just a normal, sword and board kind of guy. And it was essentially, what was the adventure? I think we were just trying to get rid of giant spiders out of some farmer's grove or some crap like that. But it got me hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And what started after that was almost, I want to say 7 years of weekly playing after that.
Oh man, you're so lucky. You were young when you were young when you were playing it.
Well, it was also 3.5, so I don't know how lucky I was.
Hey, for what I know, the little I know about it, 3.5 was actually one of the most favorite ones.
3.5 was awesome, but it was also incredibly crunchy. Like there was not so much to the point of like Pathfinder and stuff like that, but there was quite a bit of math involved. I mean, if you want, I could pull up the chart for a cleric's bonus spells and how that factors into their wisdom score, and you can just try to wrap your mind around that.
That's okay. I mean, you gifted me when I moved to go to Orlando to college. You gifted me your handbook of 3.5, which I still have, by the way.
And it's falling apart.
It's falling apart. It seems some years. But the thing is that I remember, dude, at one point, because I went to a very nerdy school, I guess you could say. And everybody, of course, was playing Dungeons & Dragons and all that stuff. And I just kind of wanted to get into it. But school was overwhelming. And I remember opening that book and just trying to learn it without anybody guiding me was a little too overwhelming. Like I already had enough homework for me to.
It really was. It really was homework because I remember up until a certain point, I always had my characters made for me. So I'd be like, okay, I want a barbarian, or okay, I want a wizard, or okay, I want a cleric. Oh wait, no, never mind, I don't want a cleric. And no, that's actually what it'd be like. It'd be like, I want this, and they'd be like, no, you don't. Okay, I guess I don't then. So then I'm like, well, can I just borrow the book, and I'll just read it? And surprisingly, they did. They let me borrow the book, and for a whole it was legitimately a whole day. I sat down and actually read it and figured it out, and I'm like, this is homework.
Yeah.
There's actually not I wouldn't go so far as to say math and stuff involved, but this is if anyone has filled out a tax form, they'll know the experience of filling out a 3.5e character sheet.
It wasn't as streamlined as it is now, for sure. Which, I mean, I know some people, some hardcore players out there really miss that kind of stuff, but by the same token, it's made it so available for everybody to just kind of join in, and it makes sense right away.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. I could not be happier with 5e. I love how I can just kind of crack out a character in about 20 minutes. Yep. And I just love the I don't want to say accessibility, but ease of use.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that way it doesn't push people away with +2 to your attack roll, but because they have 3/4 cover, they get a +4 to their AC, but it's also a favorite enemy of yours, so you get another +2. It's just oh no.
Yeah.
Whereas this one's did you surprise them? Okay, you get advantage.
Yeah.
So just roll 2d20s, take the highest one, boom, go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I personally think that 5e is the most ease of use for everybody. You don't have to be a nerd to know it, which I hate the word, by the way, but I'm going to use it because everybody knows what it means. But funny enough, just thinking about how I went ahead and purchased the starter set you just reminded me was because, do you remember the game we played the first time we played a Hunting in the House of the Hill or whatever? Betrayal of the House of the Hill?
Yes. Yeah.
That was the catalyst for me to actually jump into Dungeons and Dragons.
I can kind of understand why, because it's very bare bones, tabletop RPG in a way.
Because it was like a you build your dungeon as you go, essentially. And
yeah, it's essentially a dungeon crawl with very basic stats.
Yep, and I remember going to my local store and asking to what other games were like that, and the dude was like, well, if you like that kind of stuff, you may like Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, I do like Dungeons and Dragons. Why don't I just try it? And I bought the box, I read it, and it was like, holy crap, this is really easy to just run. And I became the group's default DM, and I've been DMing since then. That was 2005, 2006? I mean, 2016.
2000.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, Jesus Christ.
no, not that far back. 2000. Yeah, like 15, 2016, I think it was. So I've been at it for like 2 years, 3 years, which is great. I love it. And which reminds me, we just finished Dragon Heist. And by the way, just so you know, Andrew is one of my players in my games. Right now, he's taking the mantle of Dungeon Master, so I can take a break, which I really appreciate.
Right. All of this pretext is going to factor into what I have to say about Dragon.
Yeah. So we've played a couple of adventures together already. We finished Tomb of Annihilation, which was actually a pretty fun game in my opinion. And Andrew jumped in towards the end of that game.
Yeah, I would say probably at the last
pretty
act.
much the Tomb of the 90 Gods essentially. But instead of me taking a break so I can recharge my batteries, I kind of just jumped straight into Dungeons and Dragons. I mean
Dragon Heist.
Yes, Dragon Heist. Straight on. I mean we finished 1 week. We finished Tomb of Annihilation. The next week we started Dungeons and Dragons, Dragon Heist, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That's what I want to say.
Now, before we go any further, I just want to let the listeners be aware this was something unusual.
Yes,
for
because
you had ran Storm King's Thunder before, and you took a brief hiatus between that and Tomb of Annihilation, right? Yeah. So because I wasn't at the table presently because of my schedule, but I do remember when you were pretty much giving me the play-by-play of Storm King's Thunder.
Yeah.
And halfway through Storm King's Thunder, Tomb of Annihilation came out. We were freaking out about it because it was essentially Vietnam. Dungeons and Dragons Vietnam edition.
Yes, and I made it. I remember when we first went into the jungle, I played the Fortunate Son for everybody.
Hell yeah!
Well, they were turning through the jungle and it started raining. I'm like, yes, this is.
But anyways, after you finished Storm King's Thunder, which unfortunately I was not a part of, but alas, whatever. There's more adventures coming out. But after you finished Storm King's Thunder, you took a week or two off? It was almost like a month, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and it for some reason it always seemed to have played out that way. Is that we're done around December, which is holiday time, and of course everybody's schedules is crazy, so we just decide to take a break for that month. And both Storm King's Thunder and Tomb of Annihilation both ended around that time.
Right. But the problem with Tomb of Annihilation was that you just can't. And I think a lot of this had to do with the fact that you went from Storm King's Thunder was tabletop.
Yes.
And Tomb of Annihilation was on Roll20.
Well, it was originally tabletop, and then 2 of my players moved to Tampa.
Right.
Which, by the way, those 2 players are the same ones that are my best players ever. Because.
Wow, I'm right here.
No, you don't count. No, because they drove. I'm telling you, they drove bi-weekly from Tampa to Orlando to play at my tabletop.
Well, I could do that too.
No,
I just won't.
No, yeah, exactly. And Heather will bring cookies and all sorts of treats. It was great. Until one time I was like, damn it, I feel bad. Let's move this to Roll20.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Heather and Alex cast,
where
we talk about Heather and Alex.
They're my heroes. I love you too, Howard. No, but anyways, they're angels, and they eventually, because of that, we moved to Roll20, which at first we were a little hesitant because it's more like a video game, blah, blah, blah. But it actually allowed us to play it almost weekly.
Yeah. The rate at which you guys could play was exponential, compared to tabletop.
Yes, and I think and now I think that's what happened actually. if I remember correctly, is we sped up through it so fast that we were done by May, I think it was, or before May. So
I'm not entirely sure.
So I didn't get the holiday break that we usually get, because in my brain, when I get obsessed with something, I have to do it. Right. So I just jumped straight to Waterdeep.
But also another important for me. Another important thing is that with the inclusion of using Roll20 and not having it be set on a certain day and like the schedules being more fluid, I was able to join and jump in. So yay!
Another player.
Yay me! Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Anyways, so
wow.
I appreciate all my players. This is for comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Andrew. Don't take it personally.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll remember that Curse of Strahd.
Wait, no. But anyways, the reason we're talking about all this stuff is because Dungeons and Dragons Waterdeep Dragon Heist started very strong, and I made it very clear to my players that it was going to be a very roleplay heavy game. And the first few sessions, I want to say the first 3 or 4 sessions.
I would say 3 or 4.
Yeah. They were very much really fun. They were very out of the ordinary for my group, because my group is used to save the world, kill the dragons, fight the giants, and this was just like Waterdeep, inside the city life, random encounters on the streets, crazy beggars, crazy people on the street, and all kinds of stuff. Tax day, which actually we managed to actually be outside on the streets on tax day, so that we didn't get taxed, which it was fun. But as we kept going, I guess my mental exhaustion, alongside of the adventure being very vague about the stuff, at which point do players get different things, different clues, and having at the end that's good about laying that out in a way that players can pick up quickly. My brain was just too tired for that.
It was burnout.
Yeah, and sadly it led to the players, my table, just kind of being like, all right, let's move on. We're almost done with this. Let's keep going. Because originally I had amazing backstories integrated with the city for, I think, 3 of the 4 players. We explored one of them, which was yours, Andrew, which with your dad and your dead brother, of course. Somebody had to die.
I know. That's all right.
Yeah, we will remember him. But I was so exhausted outside that I couldn't do it, and I feel bad because I ran a game not at my 100%. But by the same token, that led to you guys realizing that my brain just can't do it. That back to back, and you step forward and Heather step forward to DM. But this is this is a little bit of the DM side of things. I should have taken a break. It was a lot of fun to run. It was a good campaign for a type of player. We realized and we learned towards the end of that campaign of Waterdeep that our table is not really about that kind of stuff. It's more about fight the giants, save the world from the death curse. The big epics, because we like that. We attach that easier. A table out there is we're gonna have a blast role playing through the whole campaign, because in all reality, you guys didn't even have to kill anything. You could role play all the things. But yeah, so that's a little bit of my side of the story from my end. I haven't heard much from the players, and since you're one of the players, I mean, if you want to go in deep with Dragon Heist and hurt my feelings, that's okay.
So here's what I have to say about about Dragon Heist. And I just kind of want to get this out of the way, and I don't want you to take it personally.
I'm going to take it personally.
Well, then you're just going to have to deal with it. Be a big boy.
No.
But I thought what I wanted out of that game versus what I got were 2 totally separate things. Like I was expecting like a sort of like I guess sort of more like a criminal based thing, because the word dragon heist, kind of made me think that okay, this is probably going to be like more like Ocean's 11 thing. Yeah, I mean, and it didn't play out that way, and that's fine. That's not my qualms with it. But the thing about it is, I thought the ending was pretty. It left much to be desired.
Yes.
And when I say that, let me give you some context. So you're a DM, I'm a DM. We have ran or at least read some adventures beforehand, and usually the formula is that the players will have their adventure and whatnot. They'll meet some allies and whatnot, and then they'll probably cap out at usually like level 10, maybe 11 if your DM is like generous enough. But the challenge that you're going to be facing is much higher than that. So you're along the way, you're supposed to be obtaining magical items, powers, abilities, and stuff like that to kind of like supplement that power gap. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is spoilers for Tomb of the Nine Gods. So just skip ahead.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Exactly. So in Tomb of Annihilation and Tomb of the Nine Gods, our players would be possessed by one of the nine gods. And what that would do is that would give us superhuman abilities in the form of a stat going to like what, 24?
Yep.
Or something like that?
No, it was that was a lot of fun actually, by the way.
Yeah.
Props to Chris Perkins and all the team and Wizards of the Coast. That was really fun to actually play and DM.
Right. And some of the adventures I've read, things like that kind of happen too. Like, you obtain something that kind of gives you that edge over the main villain. Because otherwise, if you were to fight Asarak the Lich, who is like what, CR 18,
pretty up
like
there,
out the book, who is out the book. Like if you just fight him just with your base level 10 characters, you're gonna get wiped.
Yep.
So the possession of the nine gods kind of fill in that gap. Well, in the final encounter of Dragon Heist, we finally figured out who was behind the whole thing and whatnot, but we didn't get any of that. We didn't get a little something to help us with the encounter. Instead, what we got was that we got our asses saved by Mert of the Harpers and Rainier
Neverember
and Safar of Black Tower.
Yeah.
And Blackstaff Tower. And that would be okay, except for one thing. And that was my character. He was a monk, Way of the Open Palm monk. He during his turn, he went up to the big bad evil guy, and I rolled for an attack, and I rolled really well. It was a 22 to hit. And you told me, no, that does not hit. And I was like, my first immediate thought was, okay, if a 22 can't hit this guy, then we're not meant to fight him. We're not meant to go up and attack him. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep. And that is exactly what was supposed to happen, which I don't understand. Because even in the book, as it was written, backup shows up. And it's enough backup to take the spotlight of the characters. We fought Jarlaxle, by the way, or I ran Jarlaxle. And I was reading the thing towards the end, and and first of all, I was exhausted, like you guys already know. But I was reading it, I'm just like, this is bullshit. Because he was supposed to get away, or he was supposed to convince the players to work with him and give him the money. There was no satisfying bit there other than it's about the trip, not the destination type situation. At least that's how it seemed to me. Perhaps I read it wrong. Perhaps a much better DM than me can make it a lot more entertaining. But that's how it was on the books, in the book. And that, by the way, he was an AC 24.
Oh my gosh!
So the only hits he got was from the backups.
Or if you scored a natural 20.
Yeah, and also
because natural 20s always hit, right, regardless.
And also, what's it called? You guys don't get level 5 until the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't even make sense. And I get it. It's a level 1 through 5. It was supposed to be like an introduction to Waterdeep and the crime scene and all this stuff. Perhaps Jarlaxle was probably the least convenient, or the least. Jarlaxle was probably the least convenient one for me to run at that mental stage. Maybe I should have picked another one of the villains. That it would have been a little bit more of like a fight, like a dungeon crawl type situation instead of just trying to figure stuff out. But yeah, dude, right. That's how it was to that bit on the books.
And I think the real problem with that is that because that wasn't how our players were going to walk out of that, right. That wasn't how, because like I'm not saying we're all like thespians and crap like that, so we're all like super role play heavy. But even me, who like really likes to role play and stuff like that, and really cares about character development and plot, that was not how my character was going to walk out of that situation.
Right.
Like my character was not going to be talked down by the guy who thought it was a good idea to murder my character's brother and stuff like that, and essentially start all this crap when my character was a former member of the Watch and stuff like that, and was a lawful individual.
Right. I mean, to be fair, your brother was a side effect of the explosion. He wasn't really aimed towards him. But no, I know. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And so I think this, the weird thing about that is that when you have an encounter like that, where a lot of people could probably misinterpret it as saying like, oh, they just wanted to hit things. And yeah, that's, to some people, that's kind of the game,
right?
Like,
yeah.
But the thing about that is that whole encounter, I felt like, and again, this isn't a slight against you, but I felt like that during that whole encounter, I'm like, we don't have to be here. Like Mert and Rainier did solve the problem.
Yep.
Like why are we as the players even here at this point? Because we couldn't do anything. We were constantly either not hitting the targets because of their high AC, or trying to revive one another because we kept getting down.
Yep.
And it was just like, I don't know.
And just so you know, there was another bit very similar to that encounter early on that I decided not to run because it was just bullshit. I just wanted to get past it. Remember when you guys when after the rooftop chase,
mm-hmm.
That little bit on that area with the tugs and all that, like where you guys actually got the Stone of Galore and everything.
Right.
That was supposed to be a dragged out scene where the two gunslingers essentially make time until they can escape with the Stone of Galore.
Really?
Yeah. And then you guys were supposed to like kill it when they were on a boat, and then the Stone of Galore was going to go on the water, and then you guys were supposed to like get this thing to go on the water and get the Stone of Galore. And I'm just like, why? Luckily you guys actually did the part with the bandits that you guys hire them. That part was in the books, so you guys did that, which made it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they were supposed to run away, and I don't know. I don't understand. And after that, you guys were gonna go into like, which actually sounded like a lot of fun. To go into like a pirate ship. It's not really a pirate ship. It's Jarlaxle's ship, and then figured out where the Stone of Glory is. But that whole thing was based on you guys role playing your way through it and not killing, or as little fight as possible.
You know, and the thing about that is that like I appreciate Wizards of the Coast trying something different.
Yes.
I really do. You know, because you can't just have dungeon crawl after dungeon crawl and whatnot. You know, and I think it's kind of ironic that immediately after they came out with this, they came out with was it
Saltmarsh?
No,
Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Yeah, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which is just essentially a mega dungeon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it's just I don't know. There was a lot of times where I could see like your frustration and whatnot.
Yeah, I could see it on you guys' face too. I feel like I failed in like providing you guys with the proper clues and descriptions. But I like I told you earlier, I didn't want to like just hold your hand through the whole thing, and which I did at some points. But it felt like I just had to do that through the whole campaign. Which at that point I was just kind of like, then what's the point? Like, you know, like there were some bits in the book that I was just like, how are the players supposed to find this out without me being like blatantly obvious, like, oh, it's a shiny stone on the wall or some bullshit like that.
Right.
You know, and it was a nice break. I'm gonna say that from the epics. I feel like we did enjoy the first few sessions that we had. It was a lot of fun to role play Volo and Rainier and Flume and the purple Soul Blob, the shop, the purple shop. Like, oh
no, that wasn't even his name. His name wasn't Zoblob. His name was Gaybar.
Right. But the name of the store was Soblob, and then your dad's house, and that was a lot of fun to do,
right.
and I do appreciate it. And one thing I learned from it is to take a break, take a breather between adventures, don't jump straight to another adventure.
And I think another thing that's important is that, again, this is Dungeons and Dragons. There is a whole spectrum, a whole rainbow of people that play this game.
Yes.
And I think it just boiled down to that we were not the people this game was marketed for.
Yeah, and talking about marketing, calling it a Dragon Heist,
when there's no heist,
not the best name out there for the book. I mean, when I first saw the book that was going to release, I really thought it was a Ocean's 11 Dragon Heist, you know, steal the jewels type situation, which really got me excited.
Because you told me there was a bit in the book that was just for running good aligned characters.
Right.
So I was immediately expecting this to be like, okay, we have to break into some sort of dwarven bank or some crap like this and do like some sort of, you know, some sort of like actual heist. And like, you know, the good characters are, you know, they're making the best of a bad situation, kind of a thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I read the book, and as I was reading it, I realized that it wasn't really the heist already happened. It was like the leftovers and finding the money. You know, it was fine. We learned that we do like role playing. We don't like five levels of role playing on an adventure.
We like role playing, but we also like to hit things.
Yeah, pretty much.
There has to be a balance for us, for our group at least.
Dude, I learned. I just want to say that I learned a lot about improvising too, because a lot of the areas in the book that you guys visited were very, very barren. They were empty, and it was up to the DM. Which, to be fair, this was my third campaign, fourth if you let me see, starter, Tomb of Annihilation, Storm King's Thunder. So it was my fourth campaign as a baby DM, and it was the first time I actually got to like really, really use my improvisation muscles, which I appreciate that because I learned a lot. We had that whole thing at your dad's house in the game. With that was all improvised. That was great. But overall, for my table, for the experience I had, I give it a solid 7 out of 10.
I was actually going to be a bit more cynical. I gave it like a 6. Like I would almost say like a strong 5 to a light 6 out of 10. Like I was really invested in it at first, but then I don't know. I think it got to the point. I can actually look in the recap log and kind of point out exactly when.
Yeah,
but I think.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think it got to the point where after we killed the clockwork guy, I was like, okay, I'm done. like I got what I wanted out of this,
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I mean, I obviously I stuck around, like I wasn't gonna be like, this is done by.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was very unsatisfied with this.
Hey, yes, the ending was unsatisfying, but we did have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Specifically, and it's going to bring us into session highlights.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. We definitely had some fun.
I just want to point out that one of my players, she was playing a bard. I forgot which. Oh wait, I forgot which school it was. I think it was before she picked the school. All you guys were breaking into a villa, and inside, and the villa was taken over by a bunch of bandits, and you guys did really well about like sneaking around and like opening doors very, very silently. But then you get to your first encounter in the villa, which is downstairs in the hall, the main hall, and you guys dispatch of the bad guys or whatever. But then you hear some fighting upstairs.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
we dispatched the bad guys, but I don't know about anybody else, but I remember I took some pretty heavy hits.
You got the shit being out of you, like bad. I think no, you didn't go down, but you were pretty bad.
I was close.
So you guys, you hear the fighting upstairs, and you're all sneaking upstairs to see what's going on. And you're like with your crutches and your Band-Aid on your forehead.
And I'm last in marching order, so I don't see what happens in the next room.
And as soon as I get to the second level, it was like halfway through the session, and my player Heather, she just goes, "I cast Thunderwave," and walks away from the computer to get like a drink or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, okay. So I start rolling all the dice and I do all the things.
What she was unaware of was that Thunderwave is not a targeted spell.
Yeah. And she was
it does splash damage from where the spellcaster is.
And she was essentially in the middle of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so she comes back and I'm like asking like the players to roll DC a saving throw. And she's just like, why are we running a saving throw? What happened? Needless to say, my friend Andrew got pushed through a door into another room and died.
No, okay, hold on. Let me describe it to you how I saw it in my mind. Okay. We dispatched the thugs downstairs. All right. They head upstairs to rescue whoever is fighting because there's still the sounds of a fight happening upstairs. Okay. My character, role-playing wise, kind of catches his breath. That's why he's last in marching order. And then he makes his way upstairs. And he hits the landing of the second floor and makes his way to the door just in time to hear Heather's bard cast Thunderwave. And immediately gets blown out. like Ant-Man in Endgame. and the thing about it was that even if I passed my Constitution saving throw, I had 4 hit points left. So even if I passed my Constitution saving throw, I was hard dead.
Yep.
Just out cold, lights out.
Yep. Oh, and that's not the only time that happened, Andrew.
Well, hold on. Okay, so then the best part about it is the encounter happens. All right, the entire encounter gets resolved, and then there's a role playing session, and the entire time, for like the next, this is like half an hour to an hour. The entire time, my character is dead in the other room, and nobody's like, hey, where's Hal?
Yeah.
It's just thrown out the room, and then I just get completely forgotten about for essentially the rest of the session.
Yep.
Oh man.
Pretty much. And then like the next session we had, there was a random encounter in the city with the lady and the cat.
Oh god. Yeah, no. It wasn't the next encounter. No, it wasn't the next session. It was I want to say like 2 or 3 sessions afterwards. We had a random encounter. You rolled a random encounter. And it went south really quickly. Like, things did not go well. So we decided, okay, we're just going to leave. And as we were leaving, something happened. Like there was like a self-destruct button.
Pretty much. Yeah. So the cultist activated, I think it was a fireball. If I remember correctly.
Right, yeah. The random encounter was that it was some cultists that were trying to sacrifice a girl to summon a demon, and the summoning went wrong, and the cultists were being killed by the summoned, and we're like, okay, you know what? This was not our problem to begin with. let's just leave and pretend like nothing happened. And we walked out, and again, I'm last in marching order. I'm starting to pick up a trend here. I'm last in marching order when one of the demons or something casts fireball, and again I get blown out into the city street.
Well, the thing is that everybody makes it out of the building out, and then this is a big
except for me.
And then Hal's body just flaps into the street.
No. I remember now. We all make it out, and we're like, oh man, that was really close. And then the building explodes. And it's just, why does my character keep dying this way?
Oh yes. That was great. That happened multiple times. You just had like a really bad luck with area of effects explosions caused by friendly fire.
Yeah, like it was just like it was, if I had a nickel for every time it happened, I would have 4 nickels. Which granted, that's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened that many times.
Yeah. Then another one I can remember from the campaign was when we were in the tower. We were looking for the Stone of Galore. I remember that. Mm-hmm. And then the gunslingers swing in, and they jump out of the window, and then the the rooftop chase happens.
Yeah. Okay. So the rooftop chase happens, and we're going by the chase rules. And everything is going swimmingly for Trace, which is Howard's character, Luna, which was Heather, and Souls, which was Alex's. And then my turn comes up.
You were the last one in the marching orders, weren't you?
I was the last one in the marching order. And I stepped on what was probably every single glyph of warding the city had to throw at me. I remember specifically telling the group it was like that scene in The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob keeps hitting the rakes, because it was like every step I took, something happened. I hit a glyph of warding, and then I fell off a roof, and then I hit a glyph of warding on the way down from falling off the roof.
It was because Heather kept rolling 9s.
And I was just so done by the time that chase ended.
And then towards the end of the chase, everybody jumps off the rooftops onto this alleyway. I mean, and everybody makes it just fine.
And my character is literally a minute behind. 1 minute. My character is 10 rounds of action behind because of all. And I was like so excited. I'm like, yes, I'm going to be able to use my extra movement because I'm a monk. I have like good deck saves and stuff like that. I can make this, and I just immediately. It's like you might as well have just had a character just take a baseball bat to my character's knees. It just, oh god.
It would have been even better if you like jump off the roof and like crack your ankle or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just immediately jump off the roof, boom, compound fracture. That's it. My character's out for the rest of the game.
I made it, guys. I made it. Hold on, let me catch my breath.
That's okay. 8 hours of sleep, and I'll be perfectly fine.
Oh man, yeah. So see, we do have good stories from Dragon Heist.
Oh yeah, no. We had fun. We had fun. Just it wasn't the kind of fun I was wanting to have.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, do you have anything else about Dragon Heist that you want to talk about?
The only thing I would say about Dragon Heist is that if you're for anyone that wants to go into it, make sure you thoroughly read it first.
Yes.
Like it just to make sure, hey, is this your kind of group that wants to do something like this?
Yeah.
Like is your group comprised of world-renowned voice actors and stuff like that is able to pull this off? Because like I can definitely see this working in like a Critical Role like situation, right, or dice camera action or something like that, because those are people that like to entertain and act and stuff like that. But
I mean,
for our
go ahead, finish. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, no. I mean, it's just for me. I know I'm not going to speak for everyone. That's not my place. But I know for me, there were just some times where I just wanted to hit stuff. I liked role playing. I had a good time role playing. I had a lot of fun doing it. But then there were just some times where it's just like I just want to hit things.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, there's a place for it. It's a nice break from all the big epics. I feel the correct group and with the correct mindset will really enjoy the adventure. Sadly, I was not in the mindset, and while my group thought they really wanted a lot of role playing, we all just found out at the same time that we're not really about really big time role playing like that. Which is fine. It's we have fun with killing things and punching things in the face. That's fine.
Right.
That's what we do.
And I think just looking back and stuff like at your like reading back the texts and stuff about like your frustrations and what you had to deal with and stuff like that. I think a lot of this, I didn't read the book, obviously, because I'm not going to spoil myself on material. I'm just not that kind of person. But it seemed like the DM had to fill in a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
For this adventure.
Yep. Which again, an experienced DM might not have a hard time with it, but as a baby DM, this was my first time with such a, I wouldn't say sandbox, because it wasn't even sandbox. It was just
vague.
Yeah. Like I had a hard time with it. I learned a lot. I probably would do a lot better if I run it again, obviously, or anything similar to that again. But I definitely did learn a lot as a DM. It really tested me because I was so used to Tomb of Annihilation and Storm King's Thunder, which, while they're epic and sandboxy, it feel like it didn't require me to be so on my toes.
Well, because the thing about that is that like I'm just going to use Tomb of Annihilation because just as an example, because I haven't played Storm King's Thunder, so I don't really know the gist of it. And again, didn't read the book because I'm not going to spoil myself on that kind of material. But Tomb of Annihilation, and this is something we had talked about before, but Tomb of Annihilation, you had a hard goal.
Mm-hmm.
You knew right at the start, hey, there is a curse that is making people not able to resurrect other people, and it is happening in this location.
Yep.
It has been pinpointed to this location, so you're gonna have to go in there and figure out what exactly is going on.
Yep.
And then along the way, spoilers. And then along the way, you learn that Asarak, the Lich of all liches, has enacted this curse.
Yep.
And so you're like, okay, so now we have a goal and what's the word I want to use here, and an obstacle for that goal.
Yep.
Whereas in Dragon Heist, you're just like, okay, we need to find the Stone of Galore. What does it look like? I don't know. What does it do? I don't really know. Where could it be? In the city somewhere.
Yep. And also, it was very like, oh yeah, you're looking for 500,000 gold, but you have a business.
Oh yeah, no,
while 500,000 gold is really cool, it was a level 1 through 5, and our players are not really much about, level 20 play either. So like 500,000 gold for them was just kind of like, okay, cool, I guess gold. You know what I mean? It wasn't epic. It was just steal the gold.
I think what, and again, that's all. I can't stress enough how much this just boils down to our table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's just like I think, I know me personally, I like a good story.
Yeah.
Like give me a classic story where, hey, here's a villain, you have to overcome said villain, and I'll be okay with that. This was a bit more nebulous. This was different.
Yep.
And it just personally, it just did not gel with me as well as it might have with some other people.
Yep. Again, and you make a good point, Andrew. If anybody actually will listen to this episode, this is all opinion based on our table.
Oh yeah.
You're like, we are not professional reviewers. We don't follow all opinion based. We had a good time.
And again, also, I just want to stress before you go any further. Again, I don't even speak for the other players. I'm just speaking for myself.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to give Dragon Heist if a lot of role play, a lot of investigation, a lot of like vague, mysteries call your attention and call the attention of your players, go ahead, purchase it. Ask your DM to run it yourself. It's a lot of fun. It's really well made. Except for the maps, but that's my own personal grief.
Well, we're gonna have a whole episode on just maps.
So. Dyson Logos, you're great. I love your art. That's the guy who makes the maps. But yeah, where are we going next, Andrew?
Well, okay, so we're actually going to go forward by going backwards.
Oh, snap.
and by that I mean, so you're experiencing a little bit of burnout.
Yes.
You've been wanting to play.
Yes, please.
Okay. You've been wanting to be on the other side of the screen. Meanwhile, for ever since it has come out, I have been sitting on Curse of Strahd, and I have been wanting to play it, and I have begged you to, Jose, please let me have this one. You can play it. You can run any other adventure, but please let me have this one. So I was absolutely delighted to hear that the other players were totally on board with it, because I was, like being fairly new to the group. I was like, I don't know if they'll want to, do something like that. But they were like, oh yeah, let's go for it. So I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And I immediately started prepping it. And this was like, what, a month ago?
Dude, I don't know. No, don't even say it's been a month ago. You've been going on this adventure you've been studying this adventure for like a year now, at least.
Yes. And we are playing our very first session. At the time of this recording, we are going to be playing our very first session tomorrow. And I am super excited and super nervous.
I am super excited. I've gotten to play just not even a handful of times, like two fingers worth of times. Like, I'm so happy I'm going to play. I will cry. I'm playing a Blood Hunter because I love The Witcher, and Matt Mercer was nice enough to make a Witcher class, and I'm going to go for it because screw you guys. However, my character's not gonna be broody and emo. He's gonna be a nice, well-balanced human. I mean, elf.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny that because we haven't gotten all the characters yet, but I think it's kind of funny that right now as we're speaking, your character who uses blood magic is the least edgiest of the characters that that have been introduced so far.
Yep.
Because because naturally, we had our session 0. And I said, hey, it's going to be, kind of a sort, a gothic horror kind of thing. So I am go out, be edgy, I want to see some heavy metal imagery. And
well, they delivered.
Man, we got some great characters coming out. So,
it's
going to be fun.
You should mention them.
Yes. So we have your Blood Hunter,
yes,
who hurts. We haven't really established how he hurts himself.
He's just gonna start by cutting himself like little cuts in his hands and stuff like that.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right. So he cuts himself, draws blood, and then uses that blood to enact right magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
RITE magic.
Right.
Which gives him
fire elements.
1d4 of certain elemental damage, and that's his character for right now. Oh, also I decided, because we just did a 1 through 5 campaign, I'm like, screw it, we're gonna start at level 3. Let's just jump right in there.
Which I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, like let's not retread the 1 through 3. Like, no. Let's just go. Let's just get in there. So that's your character. And then Heather is going to be playing a warlock whose patron is what exactly is it?
Well,
it's like
don't tell me. Don't spoil it for me.
No. Oh, no. I mean, I'm trying to remember what she said in the chat.
Oh.
Yeah. Hers is like her patron is celestial,
right?
Yeah, it's a celestial patron. Thank you. I was trying to remember the classification of it. And she's going to be playing as a Azamar. Oh God, I'm drawing nothing but blanks here. Hold on, I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. Anyway, so she's going to be playing an Azamar, the kind that flies.
Yes. Protector Azamar.
Yes, a Protector Azamar, the kind that flies and whatnot, and can emit like these glowing fiery wings, and like her eyes glow and stuff like that.
Badass.
And Alex is going to be playing a lizard folk grave domain cleric who wears scale mail made from the bones of his dead enemies. and I'm like, Jesus, can I just give you inspiration just for that imagery alone?
He's gonna be the weird one in the group.
Yeah, and it is awesome.
What he said about while he's doing a short rest or a long rest, he's just gonna be making art out of bones.
Yeah, quote unquote art.
That's just great. Well,
like this,
I think
this macabre of bone sculptures.
Well, I read a little bit about lizard folk, and they can make like darts and simple weapons out of bones and stuff.
Oh yeah, they're crafty. They're crafty people. So
that's amazing. And here I thought I was going to be the one with the darkest and most weird class.
Nope.
Yeah.
They really stepped it up.
Yeah.
So.
And then we waited for another one, but sure enough, he'll deliver soon.
Yeah. Well, he said he was thinking about playing a fighter.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
And I'm really hoping he goes with the fighter because that is the one thing I've yet to see in 5e was a proper fighter, which I think, when this is a discussion for another time, but I could just briefly say this. 5e made the fighter go from one of the most boring classes to one of the most interesting classes in my mind. It completely rubber band that class to the most interesting to me. So I think I lost.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a fighter in any of our games. Well, except for the starter, but that's because they were pre-made.
Right.
But a proper actual fighter. What else? Oh, and a warlock. But now we're gonna have a warlock.
Yep, we're gonna have a warlock, which I've always had a soft spot for whatever reason. I've always liked warlocks. Yep. I like the idea. Sorry, I like the idea that there is a patron that has given you these powers, but at a cost. You know?
Yeah.
So
Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, exactly. and when Heather said, "I'm gonna let Andrew decide what the patron is," I was like,
like unicorns are celestial, just saying.
No, unicorns are boring.
You haven't met the correct unicorns, just saying.
Huh?
So you haven't met the right unicorns.
I guess so.
Is there anything you're looking forward to? Since now you know the group already.
Right.
You played a full adventure and a half with us. Like, is there anything you're looking forward to, us as the players?
I am, as the players. Okay, so what I'm looking forward to, and again, this is, expectations versus reality sort of thing.
Right.
What I'm looking forward to is seeing how these players kind of react to this environment that they're going to be going into, because without spoiling too much, it's essentially going to be like a old-fashioned Universal horror movie, like the black and white kind of thing. Nice. That's what they're going to be thrusted into. So I'm really interested to see how these characters kind of react to that, and how, and naturally how the main villain kind of assesses these characters and whatnot. So I mean, there's a lot of factors going into this, and I'm very excited to see the character development of this whole thing.
I'm excited to see Heather make a friend, a warlock, because she befriends a creature in every adventure, and sometimes multi. I think by the end of Storm King's Thunder, she had an octopus, a flying snake, and a chicken. Don't ask me how she carried all of that stuff.
That's okay.
I'm waiting for Alex, now that I know he's playing the lizard folk, to just make the most random fucking shit out of bones.
Right. And make it work.
And he's gonna make it work, and it's gonna be awesome, because it's not gonna be overpowered, because he knows better, and it's just gonna be pure flavor, and it's gonna be great.
Right.
And I'm waiting for Howard's fighters one-liners, because even though Howard's are a quieter player, he has the best one-liners in every situation.
He does. Oh, and another thing, did we make it concrete that your character has a stutter?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't think the players know yet. I'm sorry. Oh. I keep saying the players. I don't think the rest of the party know.
Well, by the time this comes out, we'll have already played the first session. So yeah, me and Jose were talking, and I think and this was probably because Chapter 2 had come out. Mm-hmm. And me and you decided that it would be weirdly cool to have your character have a stutter.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense. I think we brought it up just because of it, but then you mentioned it, that because my charisma is a -1, it makes perfect sense.
Right. Yeah, because he that way it would be like a non-disastrous way to give you that little lack of charisma.
Yeah.
So because it's not like
which I need to practice with a stutter. I don't know. I don't know if I can actually do it.
Well, you just did.
Right,
so
there you go. It'll get better, I promise.
So yeah, no, I'm really excited for this, and also I'm really excited to. The thing I'm excited from, and I'm peeling back the curtain here a bit because I trust you.
I played, well, you ran it a little bit before, didn't go too far, but level 5 I think it's up to what I got?
Yes, I want to say either level 4 or 5.
It wasn't too far.
No, it wasn't really that far. But the thing I'm really excited for is that, having read the book, more or less studied it, I'm excited to run Strahd von Zarovich, because he is probably one of the best villains I have ever seen put on paper, like in a game.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to like to meet him, because I think the bit I met him in the last time we played, he just kicked our asses, but we didn't really get to actually like get to interact with him. He was just like there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of his, I don't want to say that's his like method, but there are reasons why he shows up. And that's entirely for you to figure out.
Sweet. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Super happy.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is that like he's there. He's present. He's not hiding in the tallest tower, in his lair or something. He is like active. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm really, dude. You have no idea how excited I am for tomorrow. This whole week, I've just been like, well, I made like my character the day one. I like been bugging you about Roll20.
Right.
Yeah, it's enough.
Oh yeah. And you showed me how to use Roll20. You bought me the adventure.
Yes.
For Roll20.
Yes.
Which I can't repay you enough.
You're gonna run this vision. You're gonna do it.
And you're gonna like it. Yeah, no, I am super excited. I can't wait.
Oh, you know what I can't wait for? Baldur's Gate: Descent into Avernus.
Oh yes.
Cue epic 80s metal.
Like, what's it? They because I frequent the R. Well, I frequent a lot of D&D subreddits, and even they had to put like a sticky post saying like, "Hey, look, don't post anything about Baldur's Gate yet. just let it simmer," because it came out really recently, didn't it?
Came out last week.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people being like, "Don't post anything, don't not even like screenshots."
Really? Why?
Because there are because they want the people to go in as spoiler free as possible.
Oh, that's right. Because okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I follow the Dungeon Master specific Facebook group for that adventure. I don't follow like a regular D&D group.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense, dude.
Yeah.
I'm so hyped. I haven't read the whole thing yet because I was so hyped for it. I felt like I was overstepping. I was stepping over Curse of Strahd, so I just put it away, and I was like, once we start getting towards the end of Curse of Strahd, I'll start reading it or whatever.
Well, I was kind of hoping that this would also give you that kind of chance to breathe and, kind of, so that way you can read the book and get as, juice as many details out of it as you can. So that way, when you do run it, like you are satisfied with your own performance.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I want, because I didn't get a chance to do that with Waterdeep, and I really regret it. And I want to read all of it at least twice, because there's so much, dude. Oh my god,
at least twice.
I can't even tell you. There's so many things, so many juicy bits. I've been waiting for. Okay, I know I've been saying that our group like epics, but when I say epics, so far the biggest thing we fought was like a storm giant. Actually, no, the storm giant was on our side. We were fighting like a cloud giant.
Okay, so to clarify, when you say epic, you mean like the pretty standard Dungeons and Dragons, like fight the big monster at the end.
With dungeons and with dragons.
Yes. And or / dragons.
But we haven't had an adventure this epic. By epic, I mean like planes and scales and oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Consequences. Like it's big. You're going into Avernus. It's on the title. Yeah. And the little bit I read of just the stuff that happens before the adventure, it's already like really cool. So I can't even imagine all the details of the actual adventure. And it's Baldur's Gate, which is, people describe it as the Gotham of the Sword Coast.
Right.
There's even a class called there's another class, a background on the book called the Faceless One, which is essentially Batman. You're Batman. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
You read it and you're like, that's just Batman. That's badass.
Like you already start with dead parents.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you're just a hero and you have a mask and stuff, and it's cool. It's really cool. Don't want to get too much into it. All I'm gonna say is Fury Road, going down to hell. I can't wait to actually have, first of all, the time to actually enjoy reading the book, and the time to prepare for the adventure.
I only have one question.
Yeah.
You know how much I like my music.
Mm-hmm.
How compatible is the Doom soundtrack to this game?
It's very compatible. And you know what's funny? I was actually when I was talking to my friend about the metal concert or whatever and all that stuff, I was actually thinking of asking you to help me compose or gather the playlist for the soundtrack for Avernus.
Oh, dude.
Because your music is exactly what I imagine demons and devils play in Avernus when they're chilling. Dude,
just okay. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm also a pretty big metalhead.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you need, just give me. You don't even have to be like descriptive. Just give me a mood.
Yeah.
And I'll like give me a mood and a temperature.
Oh, yeah.
Like hot and angry. Okay, I can get that for you.
I'm definitely gonna be using your metal knowledge for this adventure. It's gonna be pretty epic. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
And that was one of those things. At first, I was initially really not. I wasn't upset. Not at all. I was like a little like, oh, he got to it before I could. But then I realized, wait a minute, that means I get to participate in this.
Yeah.
So
I remember I was driving to Miami because we were going to visit my girlfriend's family, and I was like, dang it, I'm gonna miss the live the D&D, the Dungeons and Dragons spectacular thing they had. I forgot what it was called. It was called The Descent, whatever. It's when they reveal the next adventures and stuff.
Right. That was their sort of like convention.
Yeah.
thing.
And as I was driving down, I was listening to like what was coming up and whatever. As soon as they revealed Avernus, and they revealed that it was going to be essentially Mad Max Fury Road esque types adventure.
In hell.
I told my girlfriend that was in the passenger seat to text you that I called dibs on the adventure.
And I was like, I think I immediately replied to in all caps, son of a bitch. Because I was like, no, this is like tailor made
for you. I know.
Yeah.
No, but it sounds like it's going to be a blast to run. It sounds like it's going to be a blast to play on it.
I'm my character. I've already like came up with a character for it.
Oh,
so yeah.
There's a whole section for backgrounds. That like, you know how usually they give you like 1 or 3 tops?
Right.
They change almost every single one of the already known backgrounds specifically for this adventure.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Just that. They put a lot of love into this adventure, and you can tell. I'm excited. And in about a year's time, you guys are going to hear our review.
Now, see, I think this is kind of important to talk about. I think the reason why, because you said there was a lot of love going into this, I think the reason why that was because they were like, they came out with Dragon Heist, and then they kind of came out with Ghost of Saltmarsh, which is essentially a reimagining of some older adventures. So that makes me think that while they probably had 2 teams of writers, and one team was working on Ghost of Saltmarsh, essentially converting it, but the main team was like, okay, we gotta crack out Avernus, you know, so
that's exactly how I imagine it, because Saltmarshes, it's essentially just revamp, you know, which is nice.
Yeah.
And
now don't get me wrong, Saltmarsh is nice, and I want to run it.
Yeah, you have it.
Yeah.
But before, let me see. Tomb of Annihilation was like the last really big epic one that came out. That was like, you know, like all big monsters or whatever, the world is ending. Because after that was Waterdeep, which, as we just discussed, it was a more localized,
very toned down.
Yeah, adventure, which is fine. It was a nice break.
Yeah.
And then Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which is essentially just the Underkeep, under Waterdeep, and
Undermountain.
The Undermountain, sorry, under Waterdeep, and we've seen a lot of that stuff before. It was really nice for them to actually like flesh it out, and just for me, it's more of like a Yawning Portal type situation. Hey, you guys want to do a dungeon crawl? Let's jump into level 15 of the Undermountain.
Right. That'd be something that's like more for like an actual party.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Pretty much.
Like,
and same thing with Saltmarsh. For what I understand, I don't know much about it.
It is very like understanding Saltmarsh. It's essentially a series of one shots that does have a sort of thin connection between all the other ones, but there's no underlying lore or story. So you can honestly just pick an adventure at random and just be like, okay, let's run this. Everyone make level whatever characters for this one.
Yep. So that's all we had, and then that's it, right? Yeah. And then they came out with Avernus, which is the next big thing, and holy crap. By the way, I bought the limited edition book from my local store.
Yes.
And it looks so sexy. I'm going to sit on that book for about a year until it's about $800 on eBay. And then I'm not going to sell it because I want it.
Yeah, you sent me pictures of the limited edition book. Huh?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I keep interrupting you.
No, you're fine. I keep interrupting you. But no, you sent me some pictures of the limited edition Descent into Avernus book, and it is probably this is unfortunately just ammo for people that still believe in the satanic panic.
Yep.
but that means it is perfect for what I want.
Yes. Yeah. And for all of you guys out there that don't know or are thinking about or are iffy about buying the dice set that they have, because to be fair, the Tomb of Annihilation dice set that they have was very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. And the dice sets for which I have all of these. The dice sets for Guildmaster's Guides to Ravnica, they were really nice, but they were just it was just a dice set. Like it was cool. And same pretty much with the dice set for Dragon Heist. Again, they ramped up the colors a little bit. It was a little bit more thematic. It was a lot nicer. But the dice set for Avernus, Descent into Avernus, holy crap. Just the box itself has a beautifully crafted feel to it. And I know it's mass produced, but the way it looks, it has like a foil on the foil lines around it. It makes it look very, very celestial, demonic type. It's amazing. Then you open it, and it has felt inside of it for you to roll your dice. Both sides have it. And it doesn't only come with a full set of dice, which I mean by a full set, I mean 4 D6s and then 2 D20s and obviously all the rest, which is really nice. But it also comes with a bunch of essentially a guide to Avernus, like a bunch of like demons, like cutouts of demons with descriptions from Volo in the back. It comes with a big map for the players of Avernus. And on the backside of the map, it has the scale of the devils and the demons, so you can see how big they are compared to a human.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Oh, bro, I'll send you pictures later, but it's gorgeous. This is the first dice set that Wizards of the Coast has come out with that is 100% worth even MSRP price. Which, to be fair, you can find it on Amazon for like almost half off. You can find them on your local stores for really cheap too. But I will pay the full MSRP if I had to, because it is totally worth it.
Yeah, you can. I can just tell just from the amount of like groundswell that Descent into Avernus was getting, because was this the first time that they did like a real big public announcement for something like this?
Man, I feel ashamed to say that I don't really follow them. No, I don't. Oh, maybe. Because I know that.
Well,
Because I know
because
that the C team played the Storm King's Thunder preview stuff live.
right. Yeah, like the Acquisitions Incorporated sort of introduced Storm King's Thunder and Tomb of Annihilations with their PAX East and West shows.
Right.
But I don't know if this was the first time that Wizards of the Coast did a just an announcement just for a game without way of like an introduction like that. I'm not entirely sure. And but you could just tell by like the sort of clout and stuff that this is like, that it has, and the amount of anticipation and stuff like that. Like Wizards of the Coast is really like they're not pushing it, but so I'm really excited to see what's going to happen, because like this is really big.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. The event that they did was called The Descent. It was like a live streaming, and it wasn't. To be fair, it wasn't only for Avernus. Avernus was like the big boy.
Right.
They also announced a bunch of other stuff, which we'll go over that like later.
But I mean, like they were coming out with like promo posters and stuff like that for this. Like there was a lot of showmanship behind this,
which I love. I mean, I don't remember the exact statistics, but like what it was like. All of a sudden, everybody was playing D&D. I mean, they have to be getting some big bucks. So
right.
And I love that it shows, and I love it.
And also, how do you actually pronounce that guy's name?
Chris Perkins?
No.
Matt Mercer?
No.
Joe Manganiello?
Yeah, Joe. Yeah.
Let me Google it real quick.
Because I know it's a running joke that we constantly mispronounce it, but there is an actual way to pronounce his name.
Joe Manganiello, I guess.
Yeah, Joe Manganiello. Apparently, he had something to do with the making of this game as well.
I can't even. I can't go into that. Spoilers.
Yeah, that's just what I heard. I heard he had some input into the production of this as well. So, like, I'm excited.
Which, by the way, that man is an angel. Just saying.
Yeah, like an actual, like in real life.
He is.
Like he kind of took the crown of the patron saint of D&D nerds from Vin Diesel.
Yeah. Well, he called him out. Do you see that interview?
No, I didn't.
He calls him out because he said that's when he went to the Tonight Show with Homeboy. What's his name? Oh, there's like
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, with Stephen Colbert. And they were talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and then Stephen mentions that Vin Diesel plays, and Joe Manganiello is like, well, he says he plays, but I've never seen him playing. And I know everybody in Hollywood that plays, and nobody plays with him.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, snap. He invited him to play with him, but,
Right.
I guess he hasn't responded.
Well, did you see that stream that Joe Manganiello started where it was just all buff guys playing D&D?
Yeah, that's safe. Yeah, that's
awesome.
It's fantastic. It's amazing. But no, I love that man. If you see him in real life, it's actually hard to see him. It's like you're looking at a celestial. It's great.
Yeah.
You have to bow down. You can't look him straight in the eye. Pay your respects and always back away, facing forward.
I mean, you can look at him in the eye, but you got to make a wisdom save. That's a really high DC.
Yeah.
So.
Which, by the way, if I ever get like a birthday wish, I want to play with him. I want to play a game with him, alongside with Matt Mercer, DM by Chris Perkins.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, no, that's definitely in my bucket. No, my bucket list is just to shake Chris Perkins' hand.
Oh my god!
And then never wash that hand again.
Oh, and of course, Terry Crews has to be there too for to hype me up. Just saying.
I will shake Chris Perkins' hand and then put it in like that glass case that they had in Zoolander for the hand models, and that's where it's gonna go now. So
understandable.
Yeah. Oh man.
But I think we are nearing the end of our podcast episode.
Yeah.
It was nice. I don't know how long we've been talking for. But yeah, that's pretty much where we are right now with D&D and tabletop stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, And just for any future listeners, this is not always going to be about Dungeons and Dragons. It's going to be about, some other things as well. I would say it's probably gonna be like a nice, 80-20 split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just so you guys know, our group is planning to play Cyberpunk, Dread. We also, Andrew and I, want to get everybody else hooked on Starfinder because we want to do some sci-fi stuff. So eventually, I'm pretty sure eventually we're going to talk about all that stuff. We always talking about the next tabletop game that we encounter because we have no lives and we just play board games all day.
I was actually reading into it. I don't think the transition from 5e to Starfinder is going to be it is bad.
No, it's because it's based on the D20. It's based on the D20.
Right. Yeah, but it is still based on Pathfinder, which one of our players, Howard, he's played Pathfinder before, so he's comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I'm just worried about it kind of not overwhelming, but just being a little too much.
And for the first session, it might be, but it's fine.
Yeah.
They'll get used to it. Yeah. Never underestimate your players. Rule number 1.
Yeah.
But if you guys like our voices and our content,
or if you want to tell us how our voices are annoying you and grating on your ears,
which I understand because I hate my voice, make sure to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and soon to come website. Add a Talk of Opportunity for all of them. So
don't forget to plug the YouTube page.
Oh, that's right, and our YouTube at A Talk of Opportunity. Thank you for joining us this beautiful evening.
I just want you to remember, at the time of this recording, it's the beginning of fall, and we're going to be playing Curse of Strahd soon. So get ready for it to be extra spooky.
And to keep rolling well and keep adventuring forward.
Yeah, hell yeah. And we'll see you next time.
At A Talk of Opportunity.
Okay, bye.